Hello everyone, how is it going? Welcome to today's Q&A. Hope everyone is doing pretty okay today. Hello to the people in the chat. Hi, hello. Hope you guys are doing pretty okay. I'm so excited to be here to be answering any questions that you guys have specifically about the course. If you're just starting, welcome. Welcome for just being here. Welcome to the course and the academy and taking this huge leap of faith, in my opinion, of a courageous act of stepping in and doing the work and really saying to ourselves, I am tired of the suffering. I'm tired of being in this place where I know that there's something greater and bigger. And we can have this feeling that there's excitement for that, but there can also be nervousness when we step into something so courageous. So I just want to take a moment to just remind yourself that you are taking such a courageous act by being here. So I am just so proud of you guys and just so happy to be here. For any of your questions, it is mandatory that you use the course material to ask your questions. Why? Because a lot of times we can come on here and we can almost come on and just want reassurance when we need to do the work, we need to use our muscle, just leaning into trusting the stuff that we already know. So if you are new and this is like your first time live and you just started the course, I know that can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to be here to support you if you are new. But if you have been in the course within a week, even a couple days or even like a month, really, I ask, please use the course material. Focus on the course material, or we won't be able to answer your question. So please read the guidelines that Crystal is using that Crystal's posted on the bottom right. I will answer your question. So the first part is, what is your fear question? And I'm going to invite you to really condense it in 3 sentences. Again, why? With ROCD, we can tend to kind of go into this place of rumination in our head when we really go over the story over and over and over again. In reality, the story actually doesn't matter so much, unless, of course, we're working one-on-one with someone. But the story doesn't matter so much when we are really trying to condense our question. So please use only 3 sentences when asking your questions. And again, please use the course material. I am here to support you in the answers that you're already asking. So this person is saying, I'm noticing that the intrusive thought pops that my partner is toxic because he follows models on Instagram. ROCD says that's the reason I need to leave. I'm doing exposure work with that by leaning into my wisdom. My wisdom says I can trust my partner in this relationship. How can I work on intrusive thoughts that come up and up again? My ROCD says that this means it's the truth when it pops up again and again. How can I work on this belief? I'm learning to lean into my wisdom, but it feels very hard. So I love how you condensed your question. I love how you have awareness first and foremost of the intrusive thoughts coming in. I love that you have awareness that the intrusive thoughts are saying that this relationship is toxic and you need to leave because the relationship is toxic. And I just love this awareness that you're bringing in the course material. So I thank you for that. It's so interesting because you are already doing great work in my perspective by being able to almost label the intrusive thoughts that come in. And I'm also going to bring a relationship perspective here. So with the work we do at Awaken Into Love, for everyone who is here, we do ROCD work and we do relationship work because we really believe that both are entwined. But it's really important for me to put a disclaimer in that right now I'm going to talk about relationship work. Actually, going back to ROCD work, I'm sorry. Going back to ROCD work. It's important in the situation to recognize that cognitive distortion, right? That can say, because I'm not happy with something that's going on in my relationship, I can notice the cognitive distortion that says, this means I have to leave. This means I have to leave. This is bad. This is bad. Versus the creative part of our brain, the regulated part of our brain might notice that we might feel anxious, might notice that there's something coming up that feels uncomfortable. And it might take that information and go, okay, I'm noticing the intrusive thoughts coming in, the cognitive distortions, and I'm going to come into a more regulated state. And maybe I will approach my partner with this specific thought. Maybe I'll approach my partner and think of our values together as a relationship. Is this something that is a value of mine in my relationship? Is this something that we can communicate and discuss in a mature way while recognizing the cognitive distortions that go so black and white? A lot of times our cognitive distortions and the ROCD also prevents us from having a mature conversation with our partner. So hopefully that makes sense in regards to what you expressed. One, which is the ability to have awareness and the ability to recognize the intrusive thoughts coming in, the cognitive distortions that are so black or white, that don't give us the creativity and the ability to say, actually, this doesn't actually bother me so much, right? ROCD can really heighten and make something so intense. When we kind of come into a more regulated state, we might recognize, actually, this isn't a big deal for me. This is actually okay. Or we might also come into a state where we might go, when I'm feeling more regulated, when I'm not feeling so urgent, when I'm not feeling this need to control, maybe I can just talk to my partner and have a mature conversation about this specific topic, right? And maybe create boundaries or have a healthy conversation together to go into this. So this is a really, really good way to actually lean into your trust, because what I'm hearing is that that's a sense of reassurance, right? If I say it's not a big deal, then your relationship is okay. If I were to say it's a big deal, then a part of your nervous system would say, oh my God, this is a big deal. I need to do something about it, right? So this is your opportunity to lean into your trust and your own wisdom that says, I know that this is coming up. I recognize this. And I recognize that I can see the intrusive thoughts coming in. I can see the RCD coming in, right? But when you're coming to me, and this is for everyone here, and you're saying, hey, can you let me know if this is okay or not? Is this normal or not? That's when we're actually going to reassurance seeking. So my intention here is to lovingly bring you back into trusting yourself, into recognizing your compulsions. Because I could totally tell all of you guys here, like, this is fine. You guys stay in your relationship, like, totally good. Like, you're in the best partnership. These are just, all these fears and stuff like that. But that would mean I'm feeding into your compulsion. And I don't want to do that because that actually makes your RSD worse. So, what I will specifically say to you right now is one, noticing the intrusive thoughts popping in, right? Noticing how it goes black or white. Again, I'm saying it's a cognitive distortion when it goes so black and white, right? It doesn't give an opportunity of creative space. When we give that creative space, it allows us to maybe regulate and say, this isn't a big deal for me. Because the truth is, for some people, this is a big deal. For some people, it doesn't even matter. So I can't even dictate for you what matters and what doesn't in your relationship. But the important thing is working with the RCD, the intrusive thoughts. Okay. Hopefully that helps. It's a little bit of a firm way for me to say it, but I also want to be here to help you. I don't want to feed into reassurance. I don't want to feed into any compulsions and make your RCD worse, even though it might feel like a little bit of tough love right now. But you got this. You got this. And I know sometimes things that I can say may be triggering. And again, I'm not here to sugarcoat and make the RCD worse. So I hope that helps in some way. Let me know. All right. Hello, Kiyomi. I'm so glad to be here and finally be able to ask my question and talk to you. I'm following you since 6 years now, and thank you so much for all the work you're doing. Since we are parents, my RCD and anxiety has come back pretty hard. I know that this is normal with all the changes in our life. I wanted to know if you can give me some tips, advices, and exercises. There's not much resources about it. I know there's so much to lose, and this is why RSD came back and I'm stuck. First of all, welcome. 6 years of following us. That's a huge leap to be doing the course, to be doing the program. And honestly, I'm just so happy you're here. I'm so happy that you've taken the leap and you've decided to do this work, which is so, so, so rewarding, even though it can be so hard. I want to first say that it's understandable that being parents can bring up some obsessive compulsive behavior. I get that. I really, really understand that. And a big part as to why that happens is because, again, OCD and ROCD targets the things that we value about, that we care about. And when we have kids that come into the mix, when we have babies that come into a mix, it can bring up obsessive thinking. Why? Because again, we value it. We value it so highly. And a lot of times with being a parent, there can be perfectionism that comes in. I need to feel a certain way. I need to be a certain way. I need to act a certain way. So even just having that awareness can be important, and bringing grace to ourselves when we notice ourselves being hard on us can be so important as well. Oh, I'm on my whole way home with my baby boy doing the best. You're doing your best. I just want to say that first and foremost. And a big part, I think, is just this constant state. I think being a parent really invites us to lean into being okay with lack of perfection. And I know that's much easier said than done. But this ability to say, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes and I'm going to be compassionate to myself, because it's not the mistakes that matter, but more so how I'm repairing with myself and also with my baby. And I know it's a little bit different when our babies are really young, but the perfection aspect can be really huge, right? And sometimes the intrusive thoughts can feel really intense, especially as parents. So the good news is the work is the same. The work is the same in the course. The work is the same in the course with recognizing the intrusive thoughts, bringing compassion to ourselves, the exposure work with it. So everything that you're doing in the course is going to help you as a parent. As an extra layer, I will say, allowing ourselves to make mistakes and giving ourselves more compassion and watching that perfectionism is huge. And if you need more support, know that that's always there. Amazing. You're doing meditation every night and journaling. That's beautiful. I will also say too, because I know how ROCD works and know how OCD works, to recognize when we feel as though we're doing the meditation and journaling in a way that can be compulsive too. So when I say compulsive, it more so means when we're trying to do it in a way to be perfect, right? So I just want to add that there. Maybe a meditation around and journaling around it's okay to make mistakes, how just being human is, making mistakes as a parent and repairing and give compassion to ourselves. That could be really powerful. I've developed an intense obsession of scanning and looking for good-looking people and sometimes comparing them to my partner. It's almost like I need to look at them and analyze, and I think it means something. This is a consequence that makes me feel like a horrible human. But it's like I can't control it or approach it with neutrality. Yeah, love. I can see it's a possession compulsion. Since it's urgent, I'm scouting for it. Amazing. But I sometimes question if that's normal of a sign. I haven't been doing this even when I'm single, so it's clearly ROCD. I haven't been. Okay. My wisdom says it's my fear response of settling down, making the right choice, but the doubt is strong. How can I accept it's ROCD and not guilt myself? How can I expose myself in this scenario without avoiding? The big part here is the compulsive aspect, right? The compulsive aspect also can make us feel as though the situation and scenario that we are in feels so much more intense and real than it actually is. So when we cut down our compulsions and we eliminate our compulsions, of course, we are then faced with the somatic anxiety that we might feel in the body. We're still faced with the intrusive thoughts, but then we do exposure with it. And the more we do exposure with it, with compassion, with safe resources, the less the obsessions get, usually. So that's my biggest piece for you, love, is really writing down your compulsions and knowing that the fear will always doubt. It will always, always doubt. That's fear's job. This is for everyone here. Fear's job is to doubt, no matter if we're doing the compulsive work, no matter if we're doing the exposure work, no matter if we're doing OCD. Fear will always doubt and make you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. Do it anyway. Lean in anyway. Do the compulsion exercises anyway. When I say compulsion exercises, I mean the exercises in the course. Lean into the exposure anyway. I love how you said the wisdom says it's my fear's response. So how can you trust in that more? Right? Trusting in that is also that exposure work, but you're on the right path, love. Hi, loves. I've been with my partner for 5 years. This year is a massive flare and basically fell out of love. I'm so anxious to do anything with him, even going out to lunch. How can I lean into this? B, I'm not very far in the course yet, but I'm trying to regulate my nervous system and recognize that fear can block love. Absolutely. Absolutely. Welcome, first and foremost. I know that you're new. I'm so happy that you're here. And I have a feeling that in the next couple of weeks, you're going to learn more and more and more. Just take your time with the material and allow it to sink in. A big part with this is going to be the again similar to the person up above, writing down the compulsions that we go into. So I would assume that maybe sometimes you may go into avoidant techniques. I'm curious. Maybe you might be going to avoidant techniques, which can be compulsive. And so leaning into what exposure would be for that. So again, in the course, the compulsion piece, the exposure piece is going to be really helpful for you. But because you're new, all the pieces before, even the unawakened model and the awakened model is going to be so helpful for you. So you're in the right place and you're going to learn so much. I'm so excited. I totally understand. So the exposure piece with this would actually be leaning in, being with him more. So you're going to learn more, like you're in the right place. And if you have any questions, just ask us in the next live too, but you're totally in the right place and you're going to learn a lot. I'm super excited for you. Hello from France. I've been with my partner for 11 years and RCD started 2 years ago after a lot of stress. It's been better, but it's back since the beginning of this year and a lot of anxiety again. I'm in the numb stage phase. This feeling triggers anxiety and the thoughts came in the sign. You never loved, and this feeling is so dangerous. I try to lean into the feeling of discomfort and watch my thoughts to stop rumination, but focusing on the feeling as a sensation with compassion myself. That's beautiful, love. I'm curious to hear how that's been going for you. There's so much Yana here. Yeah, you're so not alone with this. Yeah, to stop any rumination by focusing on the feeling of, yeah, absolutely. Let me know if you have any question with that, but I feel as though you're doing beautiful work with that. Yeah, that's beautiful. Try to lean into watch my thoughts and stop any rumination, focus on the feeling and sensation. Yes. And also allowing ourselves to, even though we can focus on the body and the sensations, allow ourselves to also focus on our environment, to bring ourselves back to the environment, bring ourselves back to the present moment and what we're doing over and over again. But that's beautiful, love. This partner's a stranger. Absolutely. So, you know, that usually tends to happen because of the ROCD with our partners feeling like a stranger, because the ROCD it really hijacks the brain. But I want to add a really important thing. It hijacks the brain, but it does not hijack our choice. When I say hijacked our brain, it takes over in a lot of ways where we can't see very clearly because fear is there. But two things that are important. There will always be a place of choice, and there will always be a place of wisdom and light and love. Very, very important. So that will never, ever be taken away from you, ever. Even though it may feel as though fear is clouding your mind, even though it may feel as though you have no choice, you always have a choice, you guys. Even if our partner feels like a stranger, even if we feel numb, even if we feel like we can't anymore, we always, always, always have a choice. And we always have a beautiful part within us that is kind, that is compassionate, that is loving, even though it may feel far away. Recently, my ROCD hit harder. I started to confess a lot to my partner. I've cried a lot in front of him. It seems to me that we have a lot of problems and want to solve them. My partner doesn't know how to react because, in his opinion, these were not problems with my ROCD, and he's often silent in our conversations. So my ROCD tells me I should leave because it talks that he's silent in our conversations. And I'm so stuck with this thought. I don't know what technique would be best to deal with it. Thinking of you so much, love, because I'm noticing that there's couples work coming in here. So I wanted to just remind you guys that confessing is a compulsion. And even though it temporarily feels good, and even though we might feel as though we are having some connection with our partner when we confess, it is actually feeding the RCD cycle. So something that may be helpful, couple things in this situation, is one, recognizing the compulsion. Two, what can you do instead of going into the compulsion? What would be the exposure work with that? Three, if we bring partners work into the situation, we can almost bring a sense of safety into our conversations, right? So our partner can sometimes go into a freeze response. When we bring this information, they might shut down because they don't know what to do with it. It might feel really overwhelming for their nervous system and they might not know how to respond. Their silence may in some way be this place of freezing. They don't know how to be there for us. They don't know what to do. And so a lot of times they may want to be there. They want to be there, but they shut down instead. They might even go into a fawn response. So something that can be beautiful and helpful is approaching the conversation and even saying, hey, I'm noticing myself wanting to confess to you, but I'm noticing also that that's going to feed my RCD. Do you think that maybe you can just sit with me and hold my hand or just remind me that you're here, right? So RCD will say that we need to confess and that we need to make sure our partner says X, Y, and Z and be X, Y, and Z. And it's almost like we test them sometimes. We do it unconsciously, but we sometimes test them to see if they're going to act a certain way. And if they don't act a certain way, the obsessive thinking mind will say, well, here's that confirmation that they're not the right person, right? When a lot of times our partner is equally shut down and trying to regulate. So again, coming to a partner and saying, I'm noticing I'm wanting to confess, but I'm really working hard on leading into exposure. And I just want to say, I'm sorry for any times that I may have come in and I may have hurt you in any way, right? Like when we're apologizing, it's more so an act of peace together. And it allows our partner to also regulate in their nervous system as well, right? And to say, hey, I know that this is hard. I'm feeling anxious right now, but I'm not going to come to you and come into the compulsion because I know that this doesn't help the both of us. But I'm wondering if you can maybe give me a hug, or maybe you can just tell me that you're here or just take a walk with me, right? These are acts of love that our partner can do that actually accesses the inner child that's actually wanting the safety. The OCD piece is actually more so of the surface level stuff. And the more and more we confess, the less we actually attack the root cause, if that makes sense. Hopefully that was helpful, love. Is the scouting looking and scouting a compulsion? Yes, it usually is. I would say so. Of course, I don't know the exact context that you're in, but if we're looking and scouting for reassurance and to make sure that someone's attractive or not, it is a compulsion, even if it's automatic. So hopefully this helps. I invite you to practice this this week and let us know how it works. Most of you probably know that we have home, Awaken Into Love home. If you are wanting more support here, if you're loving these answers, if you're wanting to go through it together in a group, if you're wanting buddies, and for the buddies to be able to help you and hold you accountable and check in with you this week, join us on home. The first session is free. It's an incredible place, in my perspective, as Manon and I lead it. But it's a really great place for us to get to know you more and more and more, and for us to really be able to help you and for you to lean on a community if you are feeling like you are wanting more support. But again, highly, highly, highly recommend you guys checking out home. Really, it is just such a special, powerful place, and it's an incredible place for accountability and just an incredible place to get support and to be heard and to be seen. We call it home because we've recognized that many of you cannot speak about ROCD and about the things that are on your heart at home. So we've created literally an online virtual space for you to come to a place that feels like home, for you guys to unleash anything that's on your heart, to unleash anything that you want to talk about, and for us to be there for you. Does home allow you to talk to other coaches directly? So I'm going to be there. Manon's going to be there. The coaches such as Jillian, Kat, and Aaron will not be there, but I will be there. And there's a whole group of people who are going to be there to support you. I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate you guys. Are doing amazing work. Make sure you give yourself love and compassion today. You're amazing. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. See you soon. Bye, everyone.